Welcome back. So today we are going to look at creating APIs using Spring Boot. And in this case, we're going to start off by going to this URL, go to start.spring.io. So this will help us create a startup project for the same. And from here, you can see the project is we are going to use Gradle. Some others will prefer Maven, but at our case, we are going to use Gradle. Language is Java. Then at the time of recording, the Spring Boot version that we are having is 3.06. And then the group, you can change to the name. So here we say simply Java. Then it will be our demo app, that is the name of our application. The packaging will be JR or JRE. Then the Java version, I'm going to use 17. Then we are going to add dependencies to make this a web application so that we can create our RESTful APIs. Then in this, the dependency you type Spring Web, so it will come web. Then we'll add, because we are going to persist our data to a database. So the database of our choice here is a Postgres. So here you'll take the Spring Data JPA. So this is will provide a persistence API to our data source. Then since we've chosen Postgres, we'll say Postgres driver. And then allow me add another extra one which we call Lombok. I'll show you on how this works. Then you generate, then it's going to save. So we save that one to our downloads. And then when I'm going to our downloads, you'll see here, then I've extracted to this. So you extract this, and then you get that. Then we go to our IntelliJ IDE, then we open. So how this happens, you go to File, you say Open, then you traverse to the folder where you're having the project, and then once it has opened, you'll have something like this. It will load the dependencies, and then after that, it will open to a page like this. So we've said we are going to use Postgres as our data source in this case. So to start off with, so if this is how Spring Boot creates a project, so we have our demo app. If we run this, it's going to run on port 88 by default, but based on what you have, you can change that. So here since we're going to adhere to the standards of MVC, let's create some packages. So we call these entities. So this is where we create our table. Since we're going to create a CRUD API, just to create a product, update a product, delete a product, and then fetch that product from the DB using some RESTful APIs. Then after creating the entities, we are going to create another package we call repository. After creating this, we are going to create another package called services, and then another package which we'll call controller. So in this, we'll be having our APIs created at the control layer. Then our service logic will enter into the services layer, and then our database will go to the entities, and then the data JPA, Spring Data JPA, will provide us with the APIs to query from the entities using Hibernate. So that logic for Hibernate will rest here at the repository level. So let's create our class and then call this product entity. So here we'll annotate this with at we'll annotate these with at entity. Then we'll say at entity, then at table, we'll say the name of the table. Since we don't want us to call it product entity, the name of the table will be product. And then you see here, Hibernate tells you, IntelliJ tells you that entity does not have a primary key. So we can use the help of the IDE to create this. So where we say it is a auto, so it will create for us a primary key, call it this, but we can as well create this on our own. So on that, if we want to create that, we'll just undo this and say, so we will take, we say private along ID, then this will be, we'll annotate this at ID, and then we'll say generated value, it's auto, so it will auto increment based on the addition. So then we'll say private string, we say the name of this product, and then private string description, or rather code, what will be the code for this product, then private string description. So these we can take these as the three properties for this product entity of ours. So here, with the help of the Lombok I added there, we can, instead of manually generating the getters and setters, we can say at getter at setter. So you'll see with the help of Lombok, it will generate the getters and setters as well. Because we need a no argument constructor and then an all arguments constructor. So without these three, then what we will have done is we just come here. You right click here, you say generate, then you say getter and setter, then you select this, all of them, then you say okay, and then after doing the getters and setters, you right click again, you say generate, say constructor, then you select none, so this is a no argument constructor, and then you create getter, and then you say constructor, then you select all of them. So this will help us create an constructor with all the arguments, or create all the getters and setters. So without, as you can see from this class, we have a lot of boilerplate. So Lombok now comes in handy because it will create for us all these that we've created. So I can undo all the changes, Control Z, and then from this we can see that we have a very neat class of ours having all that. Then after creating this entity, then we need to create the repository. So here we'll say new Java. So it's an interface. We'll just call product repository. Then we create this. So sorry, I have a typo. So it will be product. Yeah, so you say extends JPA repository, then it takes in our class, which is product entity, and then the data type of our primary key, which is of type long, and then we'll have created this. So JPA now will help us if we want to do any modification to our database. So through Hibernate, this Spring Data API will be able to interact, query, create, update the records into the database. Then now we need to create our service. So here we just create a Java class and then call it product service. Yeah, so at this point, what we need to do is we need to add at service. So you annotate this without service. Then here we inject. We have what we call injection. So someone might use outwire so that you inject now the repository product, because at the product service is where our logic will be implemented. So you'll say you can inject, because now from the service is where we'll send our request to the database. And for us to send the request to the database, we pass through Spring Data JPA, which handles our interaction with the database. As opposed to the traditional ways on how we could have done it is we create connections, we have our connection class, then from the connection class, it will be able to interact with the DB. But here, Spring Data JPA abstracts that, and then we are able now to interact through the repository. And yes, had you had seen here, we had product repository extend the JPA repository. So if we go to the JPA repository, we have a lot of the implementation here. Some of the basic implementation these guys have implemented for us. So we just extend that, and then we're able to do our logics into them. So on the product service now, you auto-wire the repository. So we do this. But in this case, I like us to, instead of using auto-wire, we just use constructors. So in this case, what I'll do is we'll add required arguments constructor. So you add this with the help of Lombok, it will be able to add. So instead of us creating constructors from what we have injected here, that one will create for us. So I'll say private, then I inject now the product repository, say product repository. Then I need to add now. So you create method, you say public. So here what we expect to return is the product entity. So product entity add product. Then we expect some parameters. So here I'll create another package here. We call this package, we call this payload. Here we'll create a class we call product request. So this is the request that will come from we assume we'll be having a front end implementation somewhere. So this is what will be coming from the front end. So if we create this, then we need to give some parameters that will be coming. So we will be giving private string name, private string code, and then private string description. Then we'll use at data. So at data we'll create the at getters, at setter, then it will create the equals, all that. So it is advised that on the entities, you don't use that data, you just use that getters and setters, so that you make the entity lightweight. Or there are some You can read some documentation some other guys have recommended, or rather given more reasons as to why they prefer that. So here I'll use at data, then I'll say at no argument constructor and at all arguments constructor. Then based on that, we get back to our service layer. We'll say now here we get the product request. So this is our product request. And then we say now we initialize product entity product is equals to new product. Then you say product dot set code product request dot get code product dot set description equals product request dot get description product dot set name equals product request dot get name. Sorry. Then after doing that, now we save this. How do we save this? We say product repository. Now that we had injected the repository dot save. So this product repository has a method for saving. So we'll say save, then you pass in the product. So here it will save. So as opposed to writing native queries, we could have written insert into, so that implementation, it has been abstracted from us through the Spring Data GPA by this same method. And then after doing that, we need to return. So our return is, so we say product entity saved product is equal to back. So here we return this. So at this point, we have saved, or rather added our product. And then we'll create another method for updating. So we say public product entity update product. So here, what I expect is for us to identify which product we are going to update and then the product request. And in this case, what we'll have to do first, we need to find that product that we need to update. So we say product entity product is equal to product repository dot find by ID. Then you pass in the ID that is going to be passed. So this is optional. So it is telling you that this is optional. By that we mean that it's not a must that the ID you give will return a result. So in that case, what we can have is you can say at the end dot get so that it returns, or rather, if you don't want to do like this, so you can say optional. Then you pass in that way. Then you say if product dot is present, then you say product dot get. So you say product entity product. Let's annotate this with this variable name, which is the variable name. So that's product is equals to product dot get. After doing this, then we can say product dot set name product request dot get name, because now we want to update. We have gotten our product that we want to update. Then now we set the fields for this product. from the request from what we'll be receiving from the front end. Then you say product dot set description, then product first dot get description. After saving all that, we'll say product repository dot save, then we give product. So all that done. So if it's not present here, you can do something. So here we can return that, else. So here we can say else. We can throw some exception. Throw new. So here, if we could have done, we could have created our exception, then we could have injected that, or rather thrown that exception at this point. So allow me to just return null. Else return null. In that case, but it could have been best if we threw an exception in that case. Then so we have created, we have updated, so we need to fetch. So we say public product entity get product by ID. So we use the same approach. We say product entity product is equals to product repository dot find by ID. Here I forgot to say we are going to pass an ID. Then we can say we can get, then it will return that. So after doing that, we can say return product. And then, so you can see in this, we have all these implementations like find by ID, which in native way we could have said select all from product where ID is equal to this. But that implementation has been done for us using the Spring Data JPA. And lastly, we are going to see on how we can delete a record. So let this void because we're not going to return anything. Delete product. So in this case, what we are going to have is we pass the product ID. Then what we have is product entity equals to product equals to product repository dot find by ID. Then we pass in the ID dot get. Then we'll say product repository dot delete. Then we pass in the product that we found. So in this we'll have deleted all that. So maybe I can simplify this. Instead of using optional, let's use the other approach. So we can say product equals to product. However, I don't recommend we use this approach because we might be, this get is assuming that that product exists. So, and in that, which is not a correct assumption in that case, because that product might be missing. So we'll be having an exception or on the other side. So it's better to use the is present so that this one will give you a leeway to give a response to the API on what caused another to return a result. So in this, because you might be saying that I've gotten that and then you're acting on that, which is not the record that you, ideally the record has not been found. So in that case, you'll be changing what is not supposed to. So we'll just remove this and then we'll do this. Yes. So after writing our logic now, we need to go to the controller. Then we create another class. We say product controller. So having all that, we'll say first you need to say this is at rest controller. Then at request mapping, we need to say that all the APIs that are in this class, for you to access them, the part that you have to go is stock. So you can say API stock v1 stock product. Then you say at required argument for starter, because we are going to inject now the service class. So in this we say private final. So again, this required argument constructor comes from Lombok. Then you can see here it comes from Lombok. So you say product service. So we create our first endpoint to create our product. So for that, you need to say public. Then you say product entity. So we are going to expect request body. So we say request body of type product request. So this is what the front-end team will be sending. And then here we just call our product service. So we return product service dot product, then we send in the request. So I mean product request. Okay. And then so you can call this add product. Then the HTTP verb that we are going to use, or the method, the HTTP method is post. So for us to do that, we say post mapping. So this will be a post request. So yeah, if I don't give any path, so then our request will be at the same as what we have here, but now the verb will be post. But allow me to say at stroke add. Okay. Then now we're going to have the second one, which is product entity. Then we say update product. Okay. Then here as well, we are going to expect first at path variable. Okay. So here it's of type long ID. Okay. And then our thing is now we are going to request body of type product request, then with product request. So here it will be a put mapping. And then we'll say update. So here what we do is we return product service dot update. Then we pass the ID, and then we pass the product request, because these are the parameters that our product at method at the service level expects. The third one, we are going to public product entity get product. Then what we are going to have here, I'm going to have stroke update. Then we are going to expect our ID. I failed to pass this because these are path variable. So you say product update, then the ID that you want to update, and then you give the payload. So here as well, we have to say a path variable, then of type long ID, and then here we are going to say return product service dot find dot get product by ID. Then we say that, and then the last one we are going to have is public void delete product. So here what we are going to have is a path variable long ID, then we return product service dot get dot delete product, then we pass in our ID. Oh, it doesn't have a return type, so we do that. Then here it will be a delete mapping, and then here it will be a get mapping. Yeah, so this is a product, then pass ID, update, all that. So for us to shorten the URLs, you can choose to add this, or as well you can do this, avoid this. Okay, because when you say post, you know, for this you're going to add, if you're going to say put, you are going to manipulate that resource. If you are using get, you know that you're going to return a resource, and then when you using delete, so as well you are going to delete that resource. So you can choose to input the paths, but I prefer that you use this. It becomes, you shorten your URLs, which is a good thing. So one thing now we've remained is giving our connection, or rather identifying our data source. So in this case, first we need to create our database. So having all this, so this one will enable us, or rather will enable project create this table called product once we run our application, as opposed to us going to the database and create all that. So if we now try to run our application, so it will take time. Yeah, so it has told us that Tomcat has started on port 8080. So for us to create our first API, so which we find here as product, we just copy this. Then we use Postman client. So this is what will help us to hit these APIs. So then our port is 8080, then stroke APIs that we want. Then here we choose post, body, you go to body, then you say row, then it will be JSON. And then we say, so this is the request this is the request that is going to come. So the format should be in JSON, so name, code, and description. So we say name is a test product, and the code, the code is a test product, and then description running using simply Java. Then we hit send. We have encountered some error, so we'll look at that. Because product repository is null. Why do you think is null? Oh, because never say this. Sorry for that. So in that we try again. Oop, and that's it. Hooray, we are there. So here we realize that our response has come with some ID. So this is auto-generated. Remember at our code level, we say that while creating our entity, this ID should be auto-generated. So if we add another product, we say coffee, and then say the code should be equals coffee, say Java developers have coffee. I don't know, maybe it's a code joke. So and then we have ID 2. So these are just some arbitrary data we are doing here and there. So if we want to get a response for now ID 1, so we said, remember what we said on our API, that for us to get product, oops, sorry, here I missed something, sorry for that. So I'll say it should be ID as well here. Sorry for overlooking that. Yeah, so we restart again after saving. You restart. Now you've seen started at port 80. So if we want to query now, so we change the response to get, and then ID 1. Yes, here, there we are. We have this product, that is our product. So if we change to product 2, we expect coffee. Yes, there we have coffee. So if we want now to update, so we say put and then product ID2, remember there, or we have ID2, and then this was our ID2. I've just copied from what we had created. So we say 2, and then Java developers love coffee. Is that true? Let's change the description. I say we love coffee. Okay, so if we send this and then we send the response, we love coffee. If now we come and get, so this was our first response. If we hit it again, the response is we love coffee. So let's now delete product 2. So we say this is our product, we pass the ID as 2, then we change this to delete, and then we send it. So that's returned 1. So let's see if we'll get product 2. Yeah, so this is what I was telling you, that it will throw because we are forcing, assuming that that product is found. So it said no value present. So in our next video, I'll show you on how you can catch these exceptions and return them to the API response based on what we have implemented. Thank you, and I hope this will help for those who have already begun their Java Spring Boot journey, and for the absolute beginners, this will be the best resource for you. Thank you, and thanks for your time. For any questions, feel free to reach me through the comment section. I'll appreciate. And for any other contributions, I welcome it as well. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe the video. Thank you.